Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of The Green Pill Secret. This week, we're talking about emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? It is about regulating your emotions. And it is different for maybe everyone because sometimes you have anxiety, and anxiety makes you anxious by definition. And causes you to react poorly to a situation, as in maybe assuming the worst. If someone says, for instance, I can't make it tomorrow, you take that personally as a slight against you. And then they say, oh, but my mother's in the hospital. You don't know that. That might be what they say. That might be what's going on. It is no indication that someone is saying no, they can't make your event, that they don't like you. Now, there are many other patterns that you need to look for to figure out if someone doesn't like you. Now, yes, it could be a sign that someone doesn't like you. It could be the No Jeffries Club. That's a possibility. But in general, no, it's not. In general, people just can't be everywhere every time. We all have lives. We all have busy lives that require us to do what we need to do. That's emotional intelligence, to understand that bigger picture. Another form of emotional intelligence is relative to anger. I've talked a bit about anger, and anger is, of course, a big issue, especially for guys, but women too. Guys, but because we're bigger, we're stronger, we're taller, and we have deeper voices, we can come off as scary. So a man that's angry could be could be considered scary. And we as men need to recognize that. We need to recognize that our anger is a little bit more dangerous than hers. Now, don't get me wrong, hers could be destructive. She could literally take a baseball bat to your headlights and slash your tires and carve her name in your seat. So don't cheat. But in any case, that is anger. And that is something that requires emotional intelligence because you can get angry. There's nothing wrong with getting angry, but how you deal with it, using words, yes, but also taking a beat. One thing that I have learned, because I am someone who used to get very angry, and I still sometimes get angry, I'm going to admit, I can get frustrated and feel that I'm not being heard. And that goes back to the anxiety, being someone who grew up in a somewhat neglected environment, always thinking that no one's paying attention to me, that I am just invisible. That is something that I deal with. And anger from people believing that people aren't listening to me. Again, I deal with it. I totally recognize that the number of views that this particular video is probably going to get is somewhere in the less than 10. And I don't mind. It's there. And who knows, a year from now, maybe it'll have 20. A year from then, it'll have 25. And who knows, maybe sometime in 2030, it will be like the biggest thing and have 100 views. I don't know. Nobody knows. The YouTube algorithms could say, boom, go ahead, watch this. Trust me, I know. But that's not the point. The point is, I deal with it by saying that it's not a ding against me. It's just the algorithm decides the way the things are, and it doesn't consider what I'm saying important, and I don't mind, and I don't have that many followers anyway, so it's not that big a deal. Just do it because someday maybe it will matter. That's the way I look at it. And back to anger, knowing that your anger could be scary, and it's something I resent as a male, that my anger could be scary. I don't want it to be scary. I don't want to be scary. It's something that I have to work on much harder because I have had that neglect and that feeling unobserved and invisible to deal with. And so my ability to essentially reset, like when I was in stressful situations at work during the later part of my career with the Naval Research Lab, I counted to 10. The boss is making you angry. The boss is telling you things that you don't agree with. You don't want to raise your voice. You don't want to get angry. You stop, you think, you count to 10, let things subside a bit, and you go forward. You can still be angry, but you gotta let it go with the emotional intelligence. And that's what we're talking about is the emotional intelligence is the ability to count to 10, the ability to use words, not just say you're angry, but say why you're angry, what is making you angry, what might be a solution to that anger. Maybe it's just to talk, maybe it's just to be heard. And if that's it, many people can provide that. If you just don't yell and you just say, I'm angry, can we talk? Many people will be open to that. And that's what you'd hope because that's the emotional intelligence. And someone being emotionally intelligent enough to assume that when you say, I can't go, it's not a slight against them. And that when you say you're under a lot of stress, so you can't talk right now, or you don't want to talk about that, you let it go. You say, I understand. Somebody needs some time. Respect it. That's emotional intelligence. Uh, Emotional issues can manifest in terms of taking a small disagreement and turning it into a big brouhaha. Don't. There should never be a situation where you have a disagreement that is a minor disagreement, or maybe just a misinterpretation of a word, that even if you went and dig deep, you came to the same conclusion. It was just the phrasing of it that was wrong. So many fights could just be solved with just stopping, counting to 10, and using your words to express why you're annoyed, why you're angry. This emotional intelligence is a cornerstone of our society. And I say that because you're not going to be able to get a job or maintain the job without emotional intelligence. You're not going to be able to get a date or a significant other or maintain that significant other without emotional intelligence. You have to show the maturity, show that you are able and willing to see the other side and to emote rationally with words. The best thing you could ever do is if someone is bothering you or if something is bothering you, say it, but say it not in an insulting way. Say it not like an attack, because again, someone without emotional intelligence will take it as an attack, but as a suggestion, as a kindness. Something that we learn in Toastmasters is the sandwich method, although I've been using the sandwich method before Toastmasters, and it is a very good method of relaying information. Like, I really like the way you point out such important things that helps us all become better people. Now, it would be helpful if you actually did it in such a way that you were more conciliatory and understanding of the person that was causing that issue. But overall, please keep doing it. You're doing a great job, and I really appreciate that. That's one thing that I'll tell you that on social media, on Facebook, for instance, I get these notifications from a friend of mine, and they're really long polemics about how politics works. And I'm not going to get into the details of that, but it is just frustrating that I read those things. And yes, I could go off. And yes, I am very angry at Facebook. Do not send me those notifications. My life is too short, and I do not have time to read all my friends' long posts. I like my friend. She has short posts. I enjoy reading those, but I do not want to read the long posts. And Facebook, I wish there was a way I could just say, this notification is something I don't like because it's too long. But unfortunately, there's no way to tell Facebook that. All I can do is read the post, do a helpful TLDR, too long didn't read, to describe what it says, usually within 100 characters, and and then say, look, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at Facebook, but I really do appreciate what you're doing. And thank you so much for doing it. See, that's a sandwich. Sandwich of helpful, describing the TLDR, complaining a bit about what Facebook's doing to me, and then reminding the person that is my friend that I still like what they're posting and I still want them to keep doing it. I don't want them to stop what they're doing. I'm just complaining about Facebook. And that's it. And that's emotional intelligence. That's how you do it. You deal with things with words. Do not overreact to things. Do not assume the world is out to get you. Do not assume that no one's listening because they are. Count to 10 and be happy. And that has been another episode of The Green Pill Secret. See you all next week.